I want everyone to remember that this cannot happen again.
Now at 5, calls for change in Akron as friends, family, and a community gather to pay their respects to Jayland Walker. And it will be hard to forget Walker's story. Killed after being shot dozens of times by Akron police after a traffic stop turned into a chase late last month. Jayland was remembered this afternoon during funeral services at the Akron Civic Theater. Shortly after that funeral ended, attorneys for Walker's family renewed their call for accountability when it comes to the 8 officers involved in Jayland's deadly shooting. We'll have more on that in just a bit. But first, News 5 investigator Tara Morgan brings us coverage of Jayland's funeral services this afternoon.
A closed casket flanked by Jayland Walker's smile. Church leaders saying there is nothing normal about all of this.
There's nothing right about this. We should not be here, and Jayland should not be in that box.
Mourners honoring Jayland on their suit jackets and in cherished memories, some tough to express.
This is pretty hard for me, standing up here.
Encouragement from mourners for Jayland's best friend, Dupree Watley.
We grew up wrestling together. Never a dull moment with Jayland. We became brothers.
Watley says Jayland would always lend an ear when he needed an opinion.
And it just sucks because I used to call Jayland almost all the time, and I can't call him anymore when I'm going through some things.
His cousin, Robin Elric, calling Jayland a soft-spoken, funny guy.
When I think about Jayland, I think about someone who was just had the biggest heart.
Elric pointing to moments in life when Jayland would bring to her his love, laughs, and most recently, tears.
The last few weeks I spent with Jayland, he was going through a really, really hard time. And the moments that I remember are the moments where we spent just sitting, quietly holding hands and crying with each other.
His uncle cherishing the good times.
He loved basketball. He loved Kobe and LeBron. And the one thing about Jayland, he was always fitted in the right shoes. He was always fresh.
Jayland's life ended at the age of 25. He was engaged to be married.
He was an undercover mama's boy.
Family pastor and cousin relaying to mourners kind words from Jayland's mother and sister.
Jayland was sweet. He was caring. He was thoughtful. He was humble. He was an all-around nice person.
A young son, brother, cousin, and best friend etched in their hearts.
He gonna live through me. I'm never gonna forget him.
Akron City Council has declared today a citywide day of mourning. There are prayer vigils scheduled from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock tonight at 5 different community centers. You can see the list on your screen right now. We've also posted all this information on our News 5 app. Now, shortly after the funeral, the legal team for Walker's family addressed the media. Headline of the news conference just a few hours ago, the shooting death of Jayland Walker is now getting international attention from the United Nations. Attorneys for the family say the United Nations International Independent Mechanism to Advance Racial Justice and Equality will provide investigators to look into what happened to Walker in Akron. We'll have more on that explanation in just a bit. Family and lawyers said while today was a day to remember Jayland, they're also calling on the city to issue a public apology. Now, there have been private apologies from city leaders, but the family believes the time to do so publicly has come. It was June 27th when Walker was shot by Akron police after a traffic stop. His death has resulted in multiple protests and calls for change over the last 2 weeks. Attorneys and Walker's relatives believe the 8 officers who fired shots need to be held accountable. BCI continues to investigate. We're told some of the interviews with the officers have taken place. Attorney Bobby DiCello explained the role of the United Nations investigators. We also heard from Walker's cousin.
If you don't know what the mechanism does, the mechanism was set up following the death of George Floyd, and this case marks the biggest and the most important case that the mechanism has handled since George Floyd's death. The mechanism has independent nation and worldwide experts who will be sending recommendations to the government, both at the federal and state level, to ensure that this kind of violence visited upon ordinary Americans, Black Americans, ceases.
How do I respond? I'm tired of sitting on the sideline, being a spectator. I just don't know where to turn to. I don't know what to do. So that's why I'm here speaking on behalf of his name and the family. We're gonna get through this, but we need to see changes.
Akron Police and the Mayor's office did not hold a daily briefing today out of respect for the Walker family. Also, there are several prayer vigils scheduled at Akron Community Centers. Again, they begin tonight at 6 o'clock. You can find all of our coverage on Jayland Walker's death and the community response on our News 5 app and our website, news5cleveland.com.